Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the Edukemy's channel. In today's video, we will be discussing about the questions that were there from economy section in the UPSC CSE Prelims paper 2021. With me today, I am having Banke along, and both of us we will tell you about and we will discuss in detail about the level of questions, the important topics, the trends, and how to gear up your preparation for the upcoming prelims exams. So now I will hand over my mic to Banke to take you through the preparation strategy and to talk about the other aspects of preparation.
Thank you, Nanki. Now let's see how many questions they asked. First, let's have a bird eye view. Let's see number of questions. So you can see that number of questions were around 14 questions were asked from economy, and we can see a step change. There was 20 plus questions used to be asked earlier, but this time there were 14 questions.
So I think there was a huge difference. Earlier, it was somewhere around 20 to 25 questions earlier. But right now, this year, Banke, I think just 14 questions, such a disappointment for the students this year.
Yes, 14 questions. They compensated it in geography. That was an unexpected turn for aspirants. But then these 14 questions are mostly from conceptual areas. So return on investment is expected to be high. So I think apart from that FDI question where people were clueless, mostly
it was a little tricky.
Yes, apart from that question, I think 12 to 13 questions were easily doable. If you were following the developments and you were linking it with a static portion of the syllabus, those were doable.
They were
manageable. And what's about the length?
So about the length, if we talk about, so first thing I would say, one thing I would like to tell everyone is that though there were less number of questions this year, that is just the 14, we can't take it forward that in the upcoming years it will remain as 14. It could actually reduce to 10 or again back to track with 20 to 25 questions straight coming from the economy section. So brace yourself with that. Don't just stick to this year's number of questions from economy. Now talking about the number of questions, the length of questions or the type of questions. If you see, there were 10 multiple statements and 4 one-liners. So 10 multiple statement would mean that you would need time to first read the questions and go through the options, use elimination technique or conceptual knowledge to derive at the right answer. So 10 multiple and 4 one-liners were there. So pretty manageable and balanced one, provided that you were equipped with the basic concepts.
And I liked your one thing which you just said, that elimination technique becomes very important when the questions are lengthy. When the number of statements are like say 4 or 5 statements, like we have seen in demand pull inflation question.
Yeah.
So if you were able to eliminate just one, the last one, interest rate.
In fact, the first question also, the RBI one.
Yes.
In the set A.
Yes. When we are talking about first and second, we are talking about set A, which we have it here. So yeah, in lengthy paper, you should try to eliminate the easiest one first and then try to see if you are arriving at the answer or not. So there will be times when you won't have to spend much time on reading all the options.
So elimination is something which comes into picture. Now that we have discussed the type of questions, we will move to the twist and turns this year. So what was different in this year's paper was that there was no indexes and reports. Every year students spend so much time cramming up the parameters on which every index is made. But to the surprise of everyone, even the faculties were surprised that there was not even single index and report being asked this year. But again, as I would like to say, I would like to reiterate that don't stick to it. We can't predict that next year there will be no indexes and reports, because as we always say that UPSC is not a trend follower. It is a trend setter in itself.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So, you wanted to say something?
Yes, and then this second point that there are the one trend which has been broken this year is that there is no trend this year. And when we say trend, we are talking about statements like steadily increasing, consistently decreasing. So
Import and export parameters, GDP, our forex balances, all of this. So if you see from last 5 years, constantly there were questions coming. There were statements that our GDP is steadily increasing, GDP is steadily declining. All of such statements were not seen in this year's paper.
Yes, but again, same thing that since these things do not appear in this year's paper, do not mean that you stop taking note of these long-term trends.
Economic survey still holds.
Yes, economic survey, and whenever you see some interesting long-term trend, say 5-year trend, 10-year trend, like for example, one trend which has not been asked but is important is India since 1991, India have been net exporter of agricultural products. So things like that, total debt of India,
In fact, the forex balance, our forex reserves also touched the all-time high this year.
Yes.
We were actually predicting that there would be certainly one question around forex, but again, a twist and turn, as we said.
Okay. So yeah. So this is very important that again, whenever we are talking about twists and turns, and when we are saying that some trends were broken, this do not mean that you should stop preparing on these lines for next year. These things remain important still. And then third is schemes and Yojana we are missing. So schemes related to
Again, a disappointment for students, Banke. Again, in fact, when we were students, we used to spend so much time preparing notes, how to mug up yojnas and the new yojnas coming up. But again, a disappointment for students that no schemes and yojnas were there.
Yes, no schemes and Yojana. And this also means that one question which used to be one statement in that from which ministry it belongs to, that statement is gone. Though, okay. So, but again, we are emphasizing this fact that this do not mean that you have to stop reading schemes. You don't know what will happen next year. Okay. So this we are constantly emphasizing on this. No question on international organizations, like almost World Trade Organization. At least the World Trade Organization used to be like almost a certain presence in UPSC previous year question, but this year there's no question related to World Trade Organization or related to multilateral bank. So those
multilateral institutions. And one thing, Banke, I would like to add here is one thing which we forgot to mention here is that microeconomics made a comeback after 2018. So there was one question in 2018 directly from the NCRT microeconomics, and if you see this year as well, there was a question of on law of demand, and that too directly from microeconomics NCRT, that is class 12th NCRT. It was there. So I think we forgot to mention it.
Yes,
there.
certainly. So I have seen people talking that macroeconomics is not that important, but I would like to disagree. And anyway, when you are starting your preparation, you don't want to just jump to macroeconomics and confine yourself to there. Why to skip the beautiful world of microeconomics? So you have to go through at least NCRT of microeconomics, be basic, have your basics clear, and then move on. Because UPSC is like opportunity cost. Just now, Nanki madam have pointed out that opportunity cost question was asked in 2018, and now this year a question on law of demand have been asked. So yeah. We don't know. What about maybe next year elasticity of supply and demand will be asked. Okay. So,
yeah. So one message that is loud and clear from both of us is that don't miss the basics books. You can't afford to do that because even one marks, there's a fight for single mark when it comes to declaration of result. So we can't afford to miss the books because there are so many, it's been so many times that directly a question has popped up from NCRTs. Even the same lines have been picked up, and rather than repenting it over there that you should have studied NCRTs, it's better you should gear up from the starting that you have to study NCRTs. You can't afford to miss it. Am I right, Banke?
Certainly. You got to be thorough with concepts discussed in NCRTs, and then other basic textbooks. So that's bare minimum which you have to do. And then now we will be moving to, so now we have discussed that the trends which have been broken, but there are some topics which have been a constant presence, okay, in UPSC paper. So yeah, Nanki madam. Sorry.
Yeah, so the topics that have made the constant presence since so many years, as Banke said, that there are somehow in one way or the other present in the form of statements or directly a question from these themes. So the first one forms is the banking. So one question directly every year comes from banking. Either they are talking about small finance bank or say payment banks when they were launched in 2015 and 16. This year, RBI, there was a question from the RBI, urban cooperative banks, because there was headlines about that about the dual regulation and the fiasco around the Punjab Cooperative Bank being, yes. So there was so much fiasco around it. So that's why a direct question. So banking sector in entire itself is a very important topic, which you should not miss it. The other thing is the monetary policy.
And I would like to point out, in banking, both things, the concept related to banking, those things are important, and the governance of banks, that's important.
In fact, yeah, many a times there are questions coming from banking regulations and RBI Act, where the student gets confused that the regulation is provided under RBI Act 1934 or Banking Regulation Act 1949.
Yes. In fact, this year only there was this question, and then a couple of years back, probably they asked who appoints the chairperson of the board. So, and which organization manages ATMs. So basic things about banking is important. No two way about that.
And then connecting it to the current happening. See, urban cooperative is being asked, but why? If you ask yourself why urban cooperative, the question coming up from there, because there was so much crisis around the management of UCBs. That's why a question directly from the banking sector.
And there was this change introduced in 2020 itself, that RBI was given more power, more supervisory power over UCBs. So that formed the context for asking this question. This was like expected theme.
Yeah. So the next important theme, that is monetary policy. Sometimes it's about the effects of monetary policy, the decisions that the monetary policy committee takes. Sometimes the constitution of monetary policy committee. So this again is a very important topic. Banke, do you want to add something over here?
In monetary policy, most important thing to know is the tools of monetary policy. Of course, the composition of monetary policy in itself was asked probably in 2017 or 18, but the tools are very important. Tools have been a constant presence. Like if RBI want to increase the money supply in the economy, then what it has to do with the rates. Okay, so what it will do with repo, what it will do with
That is where
CRR,
the applied knowledge comes.
applied knowledge. Okay, and that's where it comes. This UPSC, this government's indirect way of asking
What actions to take?
what actions to take. Like this time they asked what action to take in times of recession. Okay, earlier there was asked in 2020 there was question related to global financial crisis. Okay, so these type of questions are easy to crack if you are good at applying the concepts. So yeah.
But for that, I think every student have to work on the basic concepts, and only then, and if they equip their preparation with reading the newspaper, that is only then they will be able to relate to it. Otherwise, if you're just preparing the static part and not reading the newspapers, it's very difficult for anyone to relate to it, and that is where you will fail to apply that static knowledge in the exams. Because if you see the level of questions, I won't say they were it was very tough, but the questions were application based. So for that you need clarity of concept, plus at the same time you need the application of knowledge.
Certainly, and every other day there is question about fluctuation of currency and what government should do to pull economy back from recession. So these things, if you are reading newspaper and then you are connecting it with the concepts learned, it's easier to do, and the act of reading newspaper itself becomes more enjoyable, or else it's a dry thing just looking at facts. So
Okay.
yeah.
We'll take them through. The next important concept is the inflation. So from inflation, either it is the application based question that what are the effects of inflation on the economy, or the trends are being asked. So this is something again very important, and something which a student should not miss while preparing. Then next is money markets, the money market instruments. I think it's not, the board is not visible. I should get aside. Yeah. So money market instrument forms another important topic. In fact, there was a question last year also.
Yes, commercial paper.
Commercial paper, yeah, how to invest, how would the no, I think the foreign investor would invest in India, so the instruments being used by them. Then it's the balance of payment related questions. Again, trends are being asked in balance of payment. Forex reserve was something to be taken note of this year, because that touched the all time high. So this topic. And the next is employment again, the various factors related to employment.
Yes, various factors related to employment, and what are the trends in employment. These things used to be asked till 2020. They asked this year they asked employment related to casual workers. So the conditions of employment for casual workers they asked. So these themes, these trends related to employment is very important because of the need to create employment at large scale for different sections of society. So this remains important. About balance of payment, I would like to point out that two things are important when we talk about balance of payment. One is the conceptual clarity about like say
What all is included and what all is excluded.
Yes, what is current account balance, what is capital account balance, what are the components of both, and then what are the components of India's foreign reserve, those things. The questions have been asked on.
There was a question on special drawing rights also.
There was question on reserve tranche. So reserve tranche have been asked in 2020. Now, who knows? In 2021 there will be a question on special drawing rights. So what is the special drawing rights, or what are the features or the characteristics of special drawing rights? These things can be asked. And so this is the one thing, conceptual part. Another thing is awareness part. That what is India's current account position? Is it in deficit or is it in surplus? Then foreign trade thing, that what is India's relation? How is India's relationship with neighbors or important trade partners? So India's relation with South Asian countries, that have been asked. Now maybe who knows, next year they may ask India's relationship with like say EU. That whether India have a FTA or not, so things like that.
That is why I think students, we keep asking, keep going through the newspapers. If you don't find time to go through the newspaper, then there's a gazette that is being published by Edukemy that provides you information which is very important, that you should not miss in a very crisp and lucid manner. So for all the students who or all the aspirants who don't get time to go through the newspaper, you can actually go through the gazette that is being published by Edukemy every day. So yeah, the next thing.
So these are some of the important topics which have been constantly asked by UPSC. Okay, so these static portions, there are two things about all these topics. One is the static conceptual part. You have to be very clear about that. Another is applied part. You should be able to apply it in real-time scenarios. And then third is awareness part. Okay, that you should be aware about things. When we are talking about awareness part, we are actually talking about like questions related to trends which used to be asked. Again, just because these trends have not been asked this year, do not mean that you should go and relax and you should stop following major trends. Of course, you do not have to follow all the micro level trends, but at least bigger trends.
But that what is mentioned in economic survey should not be missed. Budget should be prepared thoroughly. So these are two important sources of preparation while you are preparing for prelims exams.
And what about the classical source?
Yes. Oh, something which we should tell. And I think whatever I'm going to show you now, you will actually feel the importance of studying or going through NCRTs that you should not miss. So actually, for the convenience of all of you, I've highlighted the lines from where the question was picked up, and then you'll realize how easy it is to score in economy once you are clear with the concepts. Once the basic books are settled, basic concepts are settled, are in place, then scoring becomes very easy in this subject. Now, so there was a question as we were talking from microeconomics on law of demand, and directly these are NCRTs. These clippings are from NCRT, which I've prepared, which I'm showing it to you. I've highlighted the lines from where the question was picked up. So a student who has actually gone through the NCRTs, spend their time preparing the concepts of microeconomics, would have easily attempted this question, right? Because it was a very easy question, something one should not have missed, because this is what will make you pass through the cutoff that is being there.
Certainly, means you cannot afford to miss low-hanging fruits at least. So if a concept is discussed in NCRT or in traditional textbooks, then you should be able to do it. If some exotic concepts are asked and you are not able to answer, that's all right. But if
But
you are
bouncers are every year.
certainly
Yes.
it is there everywhere, and people, it's like you just leave the ball outside our system. That's all right. But if there is a full toss and you are missing that, that's crime. Okay. Now, what about this question? Lender of last resort question.
This line, I tell you, Banke. So when I was in 12th, so this line, the lender of last resort, that is how I remember. So while being, I mean, I learned this line when I was preparing for my 12th boards, that RBI is called the lender of last resort. So that is why I every time remember that it is there in the 12th standard macroeconomic books, that RBI being explained as lender of last resort. And that is why, for the convenience of our students, our viewers, I have actually taken a snapshot to show them here, that see how clearly it is mentioned that central bank, for what reason it is called the lender of last resort, that it lends to the commercial banks whenever they're out of funds, and not that they lend to the government. That is why they are being termed as lender of last resort. So something, again, as Banke said, that it's a low hanging fruit which one should not miss. Actually, you can't afford to miss if you want to see your name in the coveted that list.
That's a final list. And this applies not just to economy. This applies to all the subjects.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the subjects in prelims examination, if you are able to do those low hanging fruits, then you will be more than halfway through. Okay, then you just need to do some medium level difficulty questions, right? And you will be there.
Which can be solved through either elimination techniques or
Yes.
through the general awareness about
Yes. So this is something which you cannot afford to miss. You have to work on that. So irrespective of the type of questions asked, you again have to go back to basic books. You have to understand basic concepts, right? Learn to apply them. Be aware. So these are basic things. Okay. Now let's
move on to the next slide, which shows the importance of
previous year
previous year
questions.
questions.
Okay, so this time we have like a magic happening. So UPSC just gave this question on, we can say, on platter. So the question asked in 2019 on money multiplier have directly been asked in 2021 also. Okay, so it's almost the same question. The options jumbled up. Okay, but the same question was asked.
So that highlights the importance, no?
No, that certainly highlights the importance of previous year question. Not because questions are repeated. This is like once in a while thing. This is not typical of UPSC. UPSC typically do not repeat questions verbatim, but the themes are important. Okay, so if there is a certain theme which have been asked in previous year questions, now you got to prepare those themes well.
On the lines of those
On,
themes.
on the lines of those themes. So when we say that monetary policy is important, that's because the themes related to monetary policy have been asked before. Not just 1 year or 2 years, many years themes have been asked. Okay, so those themes are very important. So that's what we mean. So you have to. It's not okay, we are discussing it. We are having a trend analysis right now. So, but again, I would like to point out, it's not the micro trend. It's not the year-to-year trend which is that important. But what is more important is to understanding of the themes which UPSC loves to ask. Okay? Those themes are more important. Trends, of course, if something have been asked in like if you talk about a question in a FDI question. So in 2020 there was question on the characteristics of FDI. Okay. So and now in 2021 they asked about the examples of FDI. Which of the following are FDIs? So this theme continued.
Themes remains constant. It's just the application of knowledge changes.
Yes, and the exact thing may change, but the themes are, and that's what previous year question. That's the utility of previous year questions. Okay, so it's not like state PSC exams where you can expect many questions getting repeated after 4 years, 5 years. The themes are important. So you have to focus on previous year question. Previous year question is a must to have resource. Okay.
So, Banke, now that we have highlighted the importance of going through the previous year papers, we will quickly tell our students how to gear up for the upcoming exams. If this year has been a disappointment for you, that is okay. There's always a next time. There's always a next chance. And if you are able to rectify those mistakes, then yes.
And it's too early to say
Yes,
that
exactly.
this year will be in the list.
Yes.
UPSC always surprises people. So as long as you are in that range, you don't know. You may be writing this year mains, and even if you will miss on this year mains, you'll be writing
The next year ones.
next year mains. Okay, so once you are in the field, you have to crack the exam, so you have to see things. So the strategy for next year now, having seen this year's paper, now how to go about preparation for next year. The one thing which I would like to point out, Nanki, is this, that no matter what type of questions have been asked this year, or no matter what type of questions were asked in 2020, one thing stands, that do not drastically change your preparation based on 1 year paper, because UPSC is unpredictable.
Yes.
What's your take?
Again, that we told in the starting that UPSC is not a trend follower, it's a trend setter. So please don't change your stances on the questions being asked in just 1 year. If there's a change in pattern for 1 year, don't just follow it blindly. Do take it into consideration while you're preparing, but don't base your entire strategy just on the questions being asked in 1 year. So that is where we keep telling you that please go through the previous year questions, take out the themes, stick to the NCRTs, and that is what will help you. And that is where the strategy comes into picture, which Banke was talking about.
Yes. So the first one is to have basic conceptual clarity. Okay, so basic conceptual clarity is very important. So even though the inflation was asked in 2015, this is a case in point. Inflation was asked in 2015, then 16, 17, 18, 19, there were no inflation. Okay, no question from inflation. But this do not mean that aspirants should have stopped reading in inflation. Inflation again came back in 2020, and again in 2021, there was question on inflation. Okay, so you cannot afford to miss a static portion, a concept, even if it is consistently being ignored by the UPSC. You got to prepare for that concepts. Okay, so that's one thing, and another thing is awareness of the current events. Okay, and when we talk about awareness of the current events, what we mean is, again, we will talk with the help of example. Suppose, again, taking question from 2021 itself, a question on black money. Okay.
And the recession also.
And the question on recession also. Okay, so awareness is very important. Okay, so in black money, we have seen all the 4 options. They were the consequences of black money. Okay, so all the 4, be it increasing price of real estate, be it related to the political parties' donations, all these things are consequences of black money. But the question was asking the most important consideration for the government, and that was the consequence on the kitty of the government, that is the tax received by the government. So this is just conceptual clarity, just knowing about black money is not enough. You have to know about, you have to be aware about its impact,
Whatever is happening
for
in
whatever is happening and how governments are
making the decisions, what steps they are taking. For an example, the economy was going through a recession, then there was the schemes coming up like Atmanirbhar Bharat. So why such schemes were there to revive the economy out of recession? And you can see the question directly coming up from that theme. So awareness of the current events becomes something inevitable part of your preparation. The next is keep your preparation balanced. Now, what by when we say that keep your preparation balanced, it means that you should. It's just not that you should just cram up the facts. You should know how to apply those facts. The knowledge in the paper. It's just not that you will learn the features of certain schemes or learn what inflation or MPC is all about and you will be able to crack through the paper. No, they will help you to definitely eliminate the options, but I won't call it as a balanced preparation.
Yes, and when we talk about balanced, there are two kind of balance which is required. In fact, three kind of balance which is required. One is the balance between the different chapters or different concepts discussed in the in textbooks. Okay, so you cannot say that, okay, in last 2 years this concept have not been asked, so I will skip it. You cannot do that. You have to understand all the concepts which is in the syllabus. Okay, so that's one kind of balance, that within the subject you have to know all things. Another kind of balance is between two subjects. Okay, so again, the case in point is geography. Okay, so the questions are hardly two or three questions used to be asked from geography, maybe four at times in recent years. But this time again, geography came with the bang. About 12 to 13 questions have been asked for geography. So the lesson is,
And there was interlinking between environment and geography
yes,
and biomes. Were
yes.
asked.
So you cannot afford to miss one subject completely. You cannot say that since the last 2 3 years UPSC have not asked much from this year, let's skip it. You don't know what is going to happen next year. So this is second type of balance. And third type of balance is balance between the current affairs and the static portion.
The linkages between them.
Yes. So this is very important. You cannot just go on mugging pages and pages of current affairs, or you cannot just skip current affairs altogether, saying that it's just the concepts have been asked. So you have to have a balanced strategy. You have to cover syllabus holistically, and if you will do that, and if you are alert enough, if you are able to get low-hanging fruits, if you are able to pluck the low-hanging fruits, and some more good questions right, you will be through, and then who knows. So
So I think we have told the students about whatever we wanted to communicate, whatever we felt about the paper, and if there's any need to revise the strategy, so we have told it all to our students and the aspirants who are preparing, who are still in preparation phase. So that is where we think we shall conclude, and the best wishes from both of us. And Banke, do you like to say anything to the students?
yeah, all the best.
All the best is something which Banke would like to say. So thank you so much.